Hello, Sense of Things. Welcome back to another episode of our weekly update of what's going on in the markets, what's going on in the economy, and what's going on in some funny things in the world. Ron, how you doing, buddy?
Good. Summer is going to be in full swing and any moment now. Everybody's looking forward to it. Any big plans for the summer?
For me, not really. We're trying to get we're trying to get together for a trip to France for our
Oh,
30th anniversary this year. So everything is focused on that, and our businesses are just insanely busy right now. So I really can't take time away. So it's just going to be a lot of writing this summer. How about you?
no big plans, but my goal is to definitely do some more outdoor activities. And when it gets to that point, get out of the heat here a little bit, head up to the mountains, maybe the beach. So
Yeah.
nothing significant or as interesting as Paris, but definitely more outdoor activities. And I don't know what it's like in Texas, but we have had some of the most unbelievable sunsets here in Arizona. I send pictures to all my friends all over the country, and they're like, as much as I love a great sunset over the horizon on the ocean, man, there's something about the Arizona sunsets you can't, it leaves you speechless sometimes.
Yeah. I will just, to paraphrase Robin Williams in Good Morning Vietnam, it's been hot and shitty. So
I hear you. I hear. All right, what do you got
it
for us? Just kick us off.
let's take a look at what we have in the world. So I wanted to start us off today with some 10 useless facts. I've been on this
Oh,
useless facts
we're
kick.
so used to all the useful. Now we get the useless.
You're
This is
getting
terrific.
useless facts. So here we go. So starting off, number one, did you know that bananas are slightly radioactive?
I love bananas. I did not know that. That might
Yes.
explain a few things.
It might explain why you glow in the dark, but just saying,
That might
I
be for
always
other
thought you
reasons.
just had a glow about you, but I didn't know this. But what they were saying is because of the
I just
potassium.
radiate with happiness. What can
That's
I tell
true.
you?
Because of the potassium in bananas, that's a slightly radioactive element, although it's not enough to worry about, and you shouldn't worry about it. You should eat bananas because they're good for you.
Good.
95% of the ocean is completely unexplored at this point.
I knew it was high. I didn't know it was
Yeah, that's
95%.
pretty amazing. Here's my favorite. Allodoxophobia is the fear of opinions. So I'm also calling this CNBC-ophobia.
Like I said, the best way to watch CNBC, Bloomberg, and Fox Business is on mute.
Is on mute. Yeah, I keep Fox Business on here at the office and keep it on mute the whole time. And it's just
Yeah,
fun to, the only one I like is Charles in the afternoon. I'll listen to
I
him.
agree. And he almost does no politics, which is the best.
Nope. He focuses on the markets, which I
Yeah.
absolutely love. Humans have genes from other species in them, 145, I believe, from viruses, fungi, bacterias, and other single cell organisms or whatever. Yick. Just good to know.
I've had people tell me I got a lot of fungi in me. So what can I tell you?
Yeah, exactly. Sloths are extremely strong. They can lift their entire body weight with one arm.
I have heard
Um,
that.
just something for where it's at. Carrots can give you a sun-kissed glow. Our former president must be eating a lot of carrots. Just saying, not anything political there.
All that, no, all that's from his tanning bed.
That too, or his bronzer or whatever. But big scary orange man. Cows have best friends.
Who was the person that gave a scientist a grant to figure that one out?
It's federal government, and it's probably at least $300,000-$400,000 grant to figure out that cows have best friends.
Right.
Here's a funny one. Hawaiian pizza is a Canadian invention, not a Hawaiian invention.
Excuse me. What is Hawaiian pizza? Is this with pineapple on it?
It's
Or is
got
this another
pineapple on
type of
it,
a
and it's
pie?
got Canadian bacon on it. This was a ploy for a manufacturer of Canadian bacon, or what they call back bacon. It was a ploy to say, oh, here's this Hawaiian thing that people in Hawaii love.
What'd you say it's
But
called? Back bacon?
back bacon, yeah. So it's basically the loin of a pig that they smoke, and that's called Canadian bacon, and it's called back bacon.
All right, another useless nugget.
Another useless fact. So you get a double whammy. You're getting a bonus one today. The world's largest desert is not in Africa. It's actually in Antarctica.
Did not know that. Okay.
I That was shocking to me. And last but not least, honey never spoils. Now, it does get crusty and gross, however, every time I have it and it gets all crystallized, but it never spoils. It will last literally forever because it has no water in it and it has a very high pH. So it kills off all forms of bacteria. So if you can get past the crusty and grossness as it sits around for a while, you can still eat it forever.
Very interesting. Okay.
Yes. Wow. Okay, let's move on.
Boy,
How
the
is the
like button is just absolutely shooting through the roof on that one.
So how is the consumer doing? We've been talking about this for weeks. We've seen earnings reports coming out over the last month now that we've been in earnings season. One of the things that everybody keeps saying is, yeah, but the consumer's still doing great. They're still spending a lot of money. However, let's take a look here at the delinquency rates of credit card loans. Boom, off the freaking charts. They've been going up and actually have been going up really since 2022, but they're actually at higher rates now than they were pre-pandemic. And
In
they are
2011. Wow.
Yeah, they're continuing to rise. Now, that said, if you look back into the early 2000s, which was not a great period, it was a flat period for the stock market and everything else. They were much higher then, but they are well on their way to going up.
I got to tell you, the 90s really surprised me with those delinquencies because
Yeah.
94 to 2000 was a great economy and a great
Greatest time
market.
period.
Why would so many people have delinquencies
Yeah, I don't know
on
if it
the
was that
loans?
what my guess is back then is that credit standards were much looser back then. And so you had more people that could get more credit cards and could get much higher balances. What I'm seeing now is yes, credit cards are being issued, but they're being issued at really extremely high interest rates and they're not giving as much credit.
I don't think a lot of people know that because most people don't do credit card loans, is that you are not assessed interest at the end of every month.
Hmm.
Interest accrues every day
Yep.
on a credit card loan.
Yeah.
I can't, and that's why people can't get out of debt.
No, it's just it keeps
All right.
rolling.
Terrible.
Let's look at all other consumer loans, which this is primarily, most of these consumer loans are automobile loans, and these are off the charts. They went to a point where they were virtually at less than 1.5% and in 2022. And since that time, they have literally been parabolic up, and another one that's higher than it was pre-pandemic. The
I
last
do know, I
recession.
don't know if this includes car loan delinquencies because I know those have
That
spiked
is,
in the
yeah,
last
this is
couple of months.
it's consumer loans, and the largest percentage of those are car loans. So once again, that is off the
Yeah,
chart. So
yeah.
that's saying that yes, although the consumer is still spending, they're starting to fall back. We saw this with Target this week. The numbers for Target were absolutely awful. And they haven't really missed an earnings report and a revenue report in a while. And this one was pretty atrocious. So what we've seen is Walmart has been doing well. I think the higher end consumer or that higher middle income consumer is starting to slide back to places where it's discounted. And Target basically said, we're going to start discounting stuff too to try and keep their consumers there, which is not necessarily going to be that great of a strategy. Now, we have talked about companies. Oh, first, before we do that, home mortgages. So, this is the one area in the consumer world where we're not really seeing any changes. In fact, the delinquency rate has gone down over the same
That's
period
because
of
most
time.
of those people are locked into those low interest loans.
That's precisely correct.
They're not rebuffing on the payments.
They're not moving. They're staying where they're at and staying in those really low rates, which I think is probably a good thing. And it's probably going to be the last area that we start to see delinquencies go up. And that's really going to be if we start to see unemployment get bad.
Yep. And last quick thing, I heard a stat yesterday, the day before, Toll Brothers, which is known as the luxury builder out
Yep.
of Philadelphia, by the way, 30% of their better than 30 to 35% of their clientele, cash only buyers.
Really interesting. So that makes sense.
They could finance a good chunk of the other ones to get into their properties.
That's precisely correct. But yeah, if you've got cash buyers coming in, you don't, because Toll, I don't know if they have their own internal mortgage company or anything like that, which a lot of them are doing. it's intriguing that it's a lot of cash buyers coming in. I'm assuming that's too a lot of people maybe downsizing as people get older. They're downsizing, and it's, hey, I'm selling my bigger house, and I can go in and buy a nice new house that's smaller and basically pay cash for it.
Yeah.
So one of the thing, what about the companies that are out there though? That's the interesting thing, because that's going to be that other shoe that drops if companies are struggling. Here's a commercial loans for real estate. Now, they've been pretty steady and stable. They haven't gone up much. They're just now at just post pandemic levels as far as delinquencies on real estate loans, but it's still not off the charts and it's not parabolic there. One thing that I thought was interesting, and I was trying to get a handle on, okay, where are we at though in the case of business? Because I've heard business bankruptcies are up and things like that.
Right.
So I actually pulled this from the American Bankruptcy Institute, all chapters of bankruptcy and filings, which is including the 4 different types of, and I'm not an expert on these, but chapter 7, 11, 12, and then chapter 13, which is we give up, we're done. That's it. We're out of business. Chapter 11 filings up 40% year over year. All bankruptcy filings are up 28.5. Small business elections, or V, I don't know what that is, different, up 60%. Individual filings, this is for individuals, up 28% year over year. So this, when you start to think about the consumer, they're getting squeezed by the credit card companies. They're getting squeezed on their car loans, because car loans are 11, 12% in a lot of cases, especially on used vehicles. The only thing that's saving them is really low rates that we had on mortgages. And the thing is, people aren't going to move, which means that inventories there aren't going to change. And the prices of real estate is basically going to stay up, I would say, for the time being, because we just don't have the inventory out there, and the builders can't build fast enough. What's your thoughts?
This last chart perplexes me a little bit, just because, like I said, new homes, they can't build them fast enough. Existing homes, there's no inventory.
Yeah.
So I guess it doesn't surprise me that more mortgages aren't being done, especially
Yeah.
with the 30-year fixed between 7.5, depending on the day of the week. But it's tough to say how to interpret this and what this really means, other than people are not financing as many houses, period.
Yeah.
There's no other way to say it. The other
And I
charts
think
are
the other
basically
part
saying the
is,
consumer's
people
stretched.
are like, okay, if I have to cut back, or if I can't pay something, I'm not going to pay the credit card companies, and I'm not going to pay my car loan, which is not going to help you, because they're just going to come take your car away at that point. But we're not seeing that rise in home mortgage delinquencies, which I think it's interesting. It's intriguing to say it's been on this steady decline since 2008. It's starting to level off, and I wonder when that's going to start going that direction. But I could pretty much tell you it ain't going to happen until more and more job losses happen, until we start seeing the employment numbers go down.
Yeah, but you can
We're
only go
probably
so low here.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't see it going down any farther. I think you're just going to have a kind of a steady, stable rate. If you look at that, this is back to where it's always been, was in that high 2% or mid 2% range. It's getting back to where it was pre 2008, that mess that we had. It was amazing to me how long, what was surprising to me is like how long it took for that to write itself back to where it was. It was a good solid 12-year period.
Probably if you look at 100 years, this is the blip in history where it got that high.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's the last thing you do is not pay your mortgage, because you got to have some place to live. You're willing to give up your cars, you're willing to file for bankruptcy or whatever, but you're not willing to give up your house. You've got to have shelter someplace. So that's the last thing to go. And I guess the best part of this is it's gotten back to where it was, which is a good thing. And hopefully it doesn't rise much more until, like I said, until people lose their jobs. It's probably not going to rise much more.
But don't forget too, also during that period of time of 2009, 10, 11, and 12, people had to go delinquency because they couldn't sell their house.
Yeah.
their house was upside down. Nobody
Yep.
wanted to buy it. The housing market, and then that chart shows it, really didn't turn around until 2012, 13, definitely
Correct.
14. So it
Correct.
took 4 years to flush that out and for people to,
Well,
for
and I
whatever
mean,
the situation was, for it to basically turn the other way for them.
yeah, and especially areas like Phoenix where you're at, that was a bloodbath for years. Real estate investor friends of mine are like, yeah, we made a ton of money, but it wasn't until 2014 that they really started making money because that market was depressed for 4 or 5 years. It's hilarious to hear all these people moving to Las Vegas now. That place was a ghost town for almost 10 years. They had
But you see,
built,
that's the difference. The three major states areas that got hit the hardest in the housing crisis was Arizona, number one, and
yep,
then it was Vegas and Miami, I believe was two, three, or however you wanted to look at that.
yeah,
The reason why was because it was desirable. Well, if it was desirable back then and they overbuilt, it's not that it's no longer desirable. It's
yeah.
just a matter of you got to wait for the market to work its way out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's amazing.
So
Like I said, I
desirable.
mean, it's interesting, still nice. You got great sunsets, as you said the last show. We have great sunsets here occasionally, but it's once again, it's hot and what here, and we're going into the summer
Have
with
at it.
lots of humidity.
Hey, better by you. That's all I can say.
I know. Yeah, I chose to be here. You chose to be there. Folks, thank you for joining us. I hope this was educational for you. I hope it helps you to figure out your strategy as we roll forward. If you look back to the last show, Ron had some great stuff on there about where the market is right now as far as relative strength and things like that. These are the things you need to start thinking about in your personal trading strategy as to how you're going to respond if we do see a pullback here in the markets. What's your strategy going to be? You always have to be thinking of that next step when it comes to it, and that's why we do these shows for you. So thanks for joining us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because we do more than just one show a week a lot of times, and we may or may not announce that. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, as well as hit that vote button if you liked what you hear. Give us a comment if you want to hear something more or if you have some questions. So thanks a lot, and we will see you guys back here the very next time.